Chris hit us up. He said, why do people just assume Ohio State can win a national title every year? My answer is because they can win a national title every year.
Lay hold of it. You lay hold of it. And when that thing tells you to quit, you look at it in his eye and say, I ain't going nowhere. I will break you before you break me. You will not defeat me. You will not destroy me. Some of you are so ignorant. You've been through so much hell. You gonna quit now? You should have quit 10 years ago. You should have been quit. You don't quit now. It's the 10th round. You got 2 more to go. And when you get to success, it's not about skill. When you get to a certain level of success, it's about stamina. It's about stamina. It's about you won't break me. You can't take me. It's too late now. It's too late. You should have broke me a long time ago. I'm unbreakable now. The only chance at this point is you gotta kill me. And you gotta kill me now. And then when you kill me, my legacy will live.
And welcome into the Voice of College Football Ohio State channel. That is actually, to you, the national championship, heading to the national championship, Voice of College Football Ohio State channel. You got me, JR, you got Cleveland Mike here, breaking down the Ohio State win 28-14 over Texas in the Cotton Bowl, the college football playoff semifinals, and Captain Jack, his legacy game, I think it's safe to say, after that one. You with me, Mike? Legacy game?
That's what Ryan Day said.
Yep.
I mean, also, again, I'm going to go back to what Ryan Day said. You know, there are stories to be written, but those stories, no one's going to hear about those stories. No one's going to remember this if you don't go in the whole thing. So, as he said, we're going to enjoy this tonight, and we're going to focus up and get ready for it next week, man. But definitely legacy game. I think even, we talked about it in the Team Up North game, the pick that he had, like should have sealed the game and everything right there, right? So shout out to Jack, man. I feel like he was able to redeem himself and the team was able to redeem themselves by not allowing Texas to come back and do anything. So shout out to the Buckeyes, shout out to Jack Sawyer. And this is what it means to have Ohio players on the roster. JR, I want to ask you this. Think about all those great games that we have had. 2002 national championships. Who's making the great plays? The Ohio boys. They always come up with something. Maurice Clarett, what do you do? Oh, they get a pick. Okay, I'm going to chase you down and then I'm going to strip you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The Ohio boys always coming in clutch, man. I appreciate it. I love it. And, Ohio State fans can rally around that.
For sure. I tell you, Mike, I was down bad. There in the third quarter. When Texas tied that game, I slammed a pillow down, because I'm being responsible. I don't want to slam a computer or a phone or something. That's expensive equipment,
Right.
But I slammed a pillow down, and I thought to myself, there's no way they win this game. They're going 3 and out. The offense can't get any traction, and even if they do start moving the ball, Will Howard's just going to throw another pick. We're down bad.
Right.
Foolish of me to ever believe in Ryan Day. Foolish of me to ever believe in this team. I mean, I was saying it all, bro. And then Will Howard takes the team down the field. I mean, can't stay upright though. The guy lost all that weight. I'm convinced he's top heavy now. I'm convinced Mick put a little bit too much in the shoulders and in the chest. He's just a little too muscular now, so he just keeps falling down all the time.
Right.
But what a play call by Chip Kelly on that one. People were ripping Chip Kelly at the beginning of the game, talking about his play calling and everything else, and they get themselves down the field, and then Jack Sawyer ends it there on the goal line. Is it fitting, Mike, to you that the calling card for this Ohio State defense all year long was the goal line defense, right? I mean, the teams had a terrible success rate running the ball against Ohio State's goal line defense all season. Penn State, chief among them, can tell you, don't run the ball up the middle against Ohio State's defense. And
Right.
I was literally thinking to myself, right before that pitch play, I was thinking to myself, Texas doesn't have any like big body receivers that are going to go up over Denzel Burke or Davison Igbinosun. And when I saw Jermaine Matthews in there, I was like, I don't know. He's a little bit smaller. What if they throw it up over him? And then they
Right.
don't. And then they go with that pitch play. And Caleb Downs doesn't end up getting the tackle, but he's the one that ends up making, was it Blue or Weiston was the one that went to the outside? And they get the tackle out there. I mean, that to me was like, they're going to win the game. When Texas was too afraid because Ohio State was too tough up the middle. Caden McDonald is making everybody fear him up the middle, that they have to try to run the outside pitch play. Nah, Caleb Downs got it taken care of. What was your thought on the goal line stop there?
Man, like you said, reminiscent of the Penn State game, man. You know, honestly, when the score got 14-14, and I was starting to believe, like, man, this is like the Penn State game. And, you know, that goal line stand, that's where Ohio State has had their bread and butter. And I wonder, you know, Sark, did he see that on film and say, you know, I don't want to go and, you know, we tried it one time, it didn't work. I don't want to try this again. I don't even want to try a QB sneak because wasn't it Penn State who tried it with Aller and Aller didn't get it?
Yeah, I believe so. And
Yeah,
Aller's a big guy too. Like he's
exactly.
like 6'5". He's like Will Howard size.
And Quinn's not that big. So
yeah.
So and has injury issues. So I mean, shout out to our defense. And you know, one thing that we have always said growing up in the state of Ohio, defense wins championships. And that was a championship level football right there. And I want to also commend the defense because just when us as a fan base thought like, man, our defense on the field a lot, they're getting gas. For them to be on the field as much as they were into nut up right there, man, that was amazing, man. Shout out to the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I mean, really, you talk about winning the middle eight. Ohio State technically did tie the middle eight. They went 7-7, but there wasn't a drive over 5 plays from the second quarter on. Ohio State had their third drive of the game in the second quarter, and then the only play they had, or the only drive they had that was more than 5 plays, was that final drive that they got on the punt, and they started on, Texas's 25 or something like that, or it was maybe even inside the 10, but they go 13. Yeah, it was on the 12-yard line. They go 13 plays, 88 yards on that drive after going a combined. I mean, if I'm doing quick math, the only other scoring drive was the one play 75 yards by the screen pass by Trevion Henderson. We'll get to him here soon, but I mean, this offense was in hell, man. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't get big plays. Jeremiah Smith wasn't open down the field. I mean, they locked him up. And then Will Howard just found a way to get the ball to Mecca Ibuka, found a way to get the ball to Carnell Tate. Will Kazmarek was getting the ball as well. I mean, just finding a way to get down the field. And then, of course, you know, getting the goal line stand against Texas there. I mean, what's your thoughts on the offense? Let's start there. Were you critical of the play calling like many other people were? I personally didn't think it was the biggest issue. Did I think it was an issue? Sure, but I didn't think it was the biggest issue. What's your thoughts?
I would say the way I feel about the play calling was in certain spots. I felt like, what are we doing? You know, the one time we try to go for it, on a short down, and I'm like, we're leaning on them in the run game. We run a toss play.
Yep.
We got this big quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can pick which hole he wants to go to. You know, you've seen quarterbacks do that where, hey, they're not just going right there to the A gap. You know, they can go over, you know, to another gap. I was like, why aren't we doing that? So it was just certain things I was concerned about. I also was wondering what the heck was going on with our defense. I was a little concerned with how we kept giving up the dink plays and the screens, and they were getting yardage on that. And I just felt like at halftime we would have did a better job adjusting to that. So
yeah, I think the defense, they just They started getting so happy with the pressure and the blitz. And I don't think Jim Knowles ever really adjusted. Now, they did adjust after that drive. They go 12 plays, 67 yards there with about 7 minutes left in the third quarter. They get that drive and they score, and it's looking like curtains at that point. Like, Texas is able to move the ball. Ohio State isn't able to do it. Ohio State goes not really 3 and out, but pretty much 3 and out after that. 4 plays, -5 yards on that drive because of the penalty by Austin Siereveld, which, by the way, that wasn't a penalty. I mean, if you're still gonna have Texas pushing him, like you gotta start holding the defense accountable. If you're blowing the whistle, they gotta stop pushing the dude. They gotta stop trying to rip the ball out because Austin Siereveld, he can't hear that. He's just going out there and blocking a dude and putting a lick on a guy because he's still playing. So you want to not get hit with a lick? Stop playing when the whistle's blown.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I wasn't even sure if the whistle was blown in time. Like, I think he was already probably getting ready to engage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for a bigger guy, it's harder for them to slow down like a twitchy skill guy. So, I mean, it's the same thing. You driving trucks or whatever, it's going to take a semi a very long time to hit there, come to a stop versus a car or a little SUV. So, same thing. I thought it was a football play. One thing is especially on that play, it took them a while. I felt like it took them a while to blow the whistle as well.
Yep.
So I'm not going to ever blame your offensive line for standing up for his guys. That's what offensive linemen do. That's what they are taught. That's their culture. That's their bread and butter. So, I'm not going to call him out on that one. Now, the Trey one.
Trey.
Yeah,
I mean, Trey, he redeemed himself with the screen pass, but still, it was. Yeah, that was bad.
At first, I was like, did he sprinkle some holy water on him? And then I was like, come on, Pastor Trey, you better than that.
Yeah. It gets all of them. It's all of them, I guess. No, Ohio State ends this game with 9 penalties, and I completely agree with what Irwin said up there, which, by the way, Ryan, that is absolutely hilarious. Sorry, I had to put my kids back to sleep. He was late. I was scared there for a little bit. I just moved up here to the upstairs, and my kids' room is right across the hall, so I was doing my best, like, whisper yelling when Jack Sawyer got the fumble. But I completely agree with you, Erwin. To me, that was the biggest thing. I did feel like the play calling was an issue in the third quarter is when it started to be that way. But in the second quarter, I mean, there were so many penalties. You had the Trey penalty, you had the drop pass by Emeka Egbuka, you had the false start. Like, you just had so many penalties that were putting you behind the sticks. I tweeted out at halftime, Ohio State was averaging 3rd and 12 the entire first half. Like, you're not going to convert third down when you are in 3rd and 12 situation. They were again on like 3rd and I don't know what it was, like 26 at one point. So like you get all those penalties at a certain point. Chip Kelly doesn't have enough plays to keep going for it on 3rd and 20. Like at a certain point, you gotta stop doing those. But I did feel like the refs were a little whistle happy in this one. A little too whistle happy with Ohio State, not so much with Texas. Ohio State again is getting held every single time. I think you put the picture out there, Mike, the picture of Jack Sawyer's patch. It was like completely like that doesn't just happen from hitting dudes. Like that doesn't happen from hitting a guy. That happens from being held, which is happening all game.
I don't understand. And if you have been watching Jack Sawyer, especially since the CFP has started, since the Tennessee game, this man has had bruises on his neck, jersey ripped up, and it's like, what does he have to do to get a holding call? Like, be freaking gushing blood out of his freaking body to get any call? I mean, I really don't understand it, especially like seeing the patch. And my wife was saying like, oh, like my wife's the one who pointed out, she's like, is this patch ripped? And she was like, and they called no holding calls? Like, yeah. I mean, she was like, I don't know how much obvious you can get. And then she said the fact that it's like half of it's hanging off. She like, that's more than just one rip, one hold.
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that doesn't just happen one time. Those patches are put on there pretty well. Like that's not like they didn't super glue that thing on there. They threaded it and and patched it on. So that doesn't happen after one time. But I mean, the D line in this game was just absolutely amazing. There was parts of the game where they weren't really getting all that much pressure, and you had to throw the linebackers in there to blitz a little bit more. But I felt like they never relented. They never didn't have a motor. JT goes out of this game, and Kenyatta is getting around the left tackle. That gave me some confidence. Now, Kenyatta's not as good in run defense. I think that was evident. So that's going to have to be something they work on a little bit more. But, I mean, these defensive ends for Ohio State, Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau and Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton in the middle too. If they win a national championship, obviously Jeremiah Smith's going to get the love. Obviously the offensive line is going to get the love as they deserve. But this defensive line is the best defensive line in the country. I'm ready to say it, Mike.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We'll let the national media go ahead and give them all of the love that they want, right? We'll be the guys right here saying, go look at the trench play. Everybody wanted to say, oh, Ohio State defense, not this. I had been in spaces or just listening to spaces, and sometimes I was in the Texas spaces, and I just had to get out of there because, I would hear stuff, oh, we're not worried about Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer who? Oh, guess what? Jack Sawyer made the play of the game, right? You not worried about him? Okay. How many? He also had a pass deflection as well, right on the line, but you're not worried about Jack Sawyer? Man, shout out to Jack Sawyer. We're going to make sure, that he gets his recognition. And also Tyleik Williams. Everybody just wants to talk about stats when they talk about D-line and all of this stuff. Yep. You know what stat is not ever used, but it's so effective for a defensive tackle? Throwing a guy back in the backfield into the quarterback. And it happened so much, and especially in the beginning of the game, the pocket continued to collapse around Quinn. And to be honest, shout out to Quinn because he seemed to have like some spidey senses sometimes or whatever. So I do got to give a shout out to Quinn on that. But Tyleik Williams doing his thing. And, like you said, you did see a little drop off when JTT went out. And then also I saw JTT wasn't able to push off that ankle. Hopefully, this next 10 days gives him a little bit of rest. I know Stu, our athletic training staff, will definitely be working on JTT to make sure that he can get that bend and push off that ankle. So.
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted JT to get back in the game because I was with you, or I am with you. I think the training staff's going to get him right. He's going to be good. Mike, if you need a stat for talking about how good the defensive tackles are for Ohio State, I got a stat for you. Rushing success rate. So this is a stat that takes into account how many yards a run play needs to be considered successful. If it's on first down, typically it's anywhere from 3 or 4 yards. If it's like 3rd and 3, you obviously need 3 yards. Texas's success rate in the rushing was 36%. Ohio State's was 50%. So even though you look at the numbers, and I think Texas might have ran for more yards, net rushing yards. No, they only had 58. Ohio State had 81. But still, neither team really ran a ball all that well. Ohio State still had a better rushing success rate than Texas did. So obviously that's not all just because of Tyleik Williams. You got to give Ty Hamilton and the linebackers credit and stuff like that as well. But I mean, if you're going to keep teams about 35% for rushing success rate, you're going to have a pretty good day on defense.
Agreed. Definitely agree, man. And, I was getting worried there because, in the second half, it did seem like their running game started to come on. And I was like, oh, they're getting like 4 yards. They're getting 5 yards. And I'm like, what is going on? But good thing that Sark doesn't always stick with the run because, it definitely kept us alive.
Yeah, for sure. And he didn't really stick with throwing the ball to the running backs either. He kind of started to that drive after it worked out, but Sonny Styles, I mean, on that one, he was right there when they threw it to him. And also too, I mean, there would have been so many more completions, but like you said, Tyleek Williams, Jack Sawyer, those guys were getting their hands up. Kenyatta Jackson on the screenplay, those dudes were getting their hands up, and there could have been some big plays for the running backs if they had not knocked those balls down. So yeah, man, it gives me confidence, obviously not just for the national championship, but next year as well. Which, by the way, Caden Curry, special teams MVP, forcing that fumble on the punt return. Silas Bolden was gone. I don't want to sugarcoat that. Silas Bolden was gone. Caden Curry stuck his hand out there, got that fumble on the return, and Silas Bolden was forced to stop and pick it up. That's a completely different ball game. Ohio State might not have won. That is a completely different ball game if Caden Curry doesn't get that fumble on Silas Bolden on that punt return. I think that was the second punt return of the game. Just absolutely amazing.
Big facts, man. You are 100% correct. But what do we always see out of Caden Curry, man, when he's out there? He's always somehow making plays, whether it's on special teams or on defense when he gets those opportunities, man. And I just can't wait to see him get more game reps and see him next year as well, where he will get those opportunities, man, because, you know, I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And, you know, like you said, Buddy was gone, man. He was gone. So, as they say, you know, luck has to bounce your way. And I do want to say shout out to Ohio State because I felt like luck kept bouncing, you know, Texas way. You're talking about that fumble that they recovered right there on the kick return. Another fumble that happened that they were able to get. Just multiple different things, you know, that kept happening. They kept getting a
fumble.
Yeah, I believe so too. I saw the ball moving, but I mean, it was bringing like
his
2019.
hand was open. You look at it when his knee was down, his hand was open. That's not possession of the ball. To me, it's not like he had it cupped up and was there. His hand was open before that knee hit the ground. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, and his hand, you're right. His hand was open because the ball was moving.
Exactly.
The ball was not in his hand. Like, soon as he got hit, that ball started moving. But
with Kirk Herbstreit, he's like, oh, I think he has possession.
I wasn't even listening to Kirk Herbstreit. I'm done listening to that. Shout out to the Field Pass. I'm going to say this all the time. All Buckeye fans should boycott the main channel and go watch Field Pass, man. Now, the Field Pass, they do troll. Whoever is getting the best, they just letting you know. But
if you're open about it, though,
not
I don't care.
Biased, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem biased, and that's cool with me. Whoever's up, I understand. You know, somebody makes a big play, and you don't have a dog in the fight. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't you be excited about it? I get excited about big plays from other teams. I'm a fan of the sport, so
For real. Doug Shepard asks how many balls the defensive line knocked down. I don't have exactly that, but I do have the pass breakup numbers. Sonny Styles with 1, Jordan Hancock with 1, Tyleek Williams with 1, Jack Sawyer with 2, Malik Hartford with 1. That was on the Hail Mary, and then Kenyatta Jackson with 1. So if all of those pass breakups by the defensive linemen were at the line of scrimmage, that would be 4. 4 of the 7 pass breakups in the game were by the defensive line.
Right. Yeah.
So that's absolutely crazy. All right. I've not even been following the chat. I don't know if there's any other questions. I just saw that.
They blowing the chat up. Keep it coming, y'all. I like it, man. I like it.
Well, I'm gonna put a poll in there for the offensive player of the game. I figured the defensive player of the game was pretty easy, but what did we get? We had who voted for Caleb Downs? Listen, I love Caleb Downs, but it was
Caleb could have had 2 picks in this game if he wasn't keeping his eyes in the backfield so much and let that tight end leak out.
What do you think? What do you think of that penalty on the tight end for pointing at Caleb Downs?
I mean, if you're gonna call unsportsmanlike on Ohio State for people playing football, I mean, yeah, I'm cool with it.
Yeah,
you're taunting, and to be honest, I'm gonna tell you why I think that they threw the flag. that when Iggy had stopped the play and it was out of bounds, things had got chippy. I saw the ref run over to Iggy, and I think that things was getting chippy. I remember, I think somebody posted in the group or whatever and said, is Jermaine down there throwing hands with somebody like after a special teams play? So I think things were getting chippy on the field. It was definitely an aggressive game. And maybe it might be one of these things that they're doing for taunting. I mean, taunting is a penalty, and
Right.
I mean, it's definitely what he did.
Right. Yeah, I
So,
mean, I don't like the penalty. I think it's kind of soft personally, but like if you're gonna call that on both teams, like I can see the taunting aspect to it and stuff like that. So I mean, Downs, like he got stiff armed and he walked away, like he wasn't gonna make a big deal about it. That's the kind of confidence he has. But then for Helm, I think if he just stares him down, I don't think it's a penalty. I think it's just like, all right, let him play. But as soon as that point comes out, it's like, yeah, you're kind of openly taunting them. So if you're gonna call it taunting, that's what you got to do. So
bro, I don't want to hear anything. They wasn't calling penalties to help Ohio State out at all.
no, they were
The
not.
only penalties that they called, obviously, and here's the sad part. The only one that they called was really the Sonny Styles one. I mean, not the Cody Simon face mask. Then Sonny Styles, he's like jumping and pointing, like, are y'all gonna throw the flag on this false start?
Yep.
Right. They were always late to a flag, and the most excessive flag that they really got was probably the taunting. But before that, it was always only a false start. That's it.
Right.
We got everything. What didn't we get? We got 2 unsportsmanlikes. We got multiple holding calls. Several pass interference calls.
Which, by the way, let's like that. I don't want to whine about it because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They won. But that holding call they put on Josh Fryer, I mean, maybe I'm just delusional. Maybe I'm just a homer, and that's fine if I am. But it looked like that Texas player put himself on the ground, and Fryer just laid on top of him. Like he had his arm kind of there, but I didn't see a tug and a pull. I didn't see him grabbing and bringing him down. Like I didn't see the obvious bring him down with you and then lay on top of him. Like it looked like the guy was trying to get around Fryer, and Fryer is just such a big dude that he just kind of went with him and eventually just kind of like fell on top of him. Like, I mean, that's why you don't let 330-pound dudes wrestle 220-pound dudes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably have to go back and look at that, different camera angle on that. Maybe they showed a different camera angle on the replay
I just never saw the like grab and pull down. Like that's normally what you look for in those. But
I mean, to be honest, most of the time when we get a holding call against us, it's ticky tack. It really is, man. And if you go back and you watch the film and you're like, oh, they caught this on us, but then our guys are getting choked out, tackled. I believe JTT got tackled and they didn't call anything. I was just like, okay, it is what it is. And like I said, I'm not crying for Texas fans or not trying to hear anything about that taunting penalty, because y'all got everything in this game. Y'all got every replay, every call, everything.
It's true. It's true. I put the poll in the chat there, Mike. I'm going to ask you the same question. Who is your player of the game? I'll give you the 4 options, and I'll give you the stats. Will Howard, 24 for 33, 73% completion percentage, 289 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Carnell Tate, leading receiver for the game, 9 targets, 7 catches, 87 yards. He did have a drop, no touchdowns. He had a long of 18. And then Trevion Henderson, 6 carries for 42 yards. He also had the touchdown catch, 1 catch for 75 yards and a touchdown. And then Quinshaw Judkins, only 9 carries for 36 yards. He did have 3 catches for 22 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns in this game. Who would you pick for your offensive player of the game?
I do want to say this before I pick. I know this ain't a stat, but Quinshaw had a massive block for Trey. Trey does not get some of these yards that he got without the Quinshaw Judkins block and the way he was being physical. And to be honest, if we're gonna throw the ball in the flat, I'd rather it be the Quishon because he is just a junkyard dog. He's gonna fight for that extra stuff. So shout out to Quishon. But I gotta give my player of the game, gotta be Travion Henderson, man. In total yards, he's over 100. Doing the thing. And to be honest, here's the crazy part: just one catch in the receiving game, and he takes it for 75 yards. He definitely redeemed himself. And to be honest, a lot of us were hard on Trey when he got the unsportsmanlike conduct because he messed up momentum. But for him to come back and redeem himself, but then also, a lot of us, including myself for years, have questioned, does Trey have that dog in him? We can put that to rest because Trey, when he step on the football field, he's obviously being a different guy. He had Texas when he ran up the middle. He didn't really get any yards, but he definitely did damage to Texas, I believe, defensive tackle because he couldn't get up. He couldn't stand up. He was on the knee, and he had to go to the sideline. I think some people were thinking like, man, I think that dude's concussed because he just could not get up.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd go with either one of the two running backs because of what you said. Like Trey was actually amazing in the pass blocking, pass protection. I felt like Quinshon was too. He just doesn't come in and pass protect as much as Trey does. But Quinshon with that huge block on the run that Kirk Herbstreit pointed out, and in other runs as well, he was out there blocking and just short yardage situations, right? Like this is what you brought Quinshon Judkins in for him to be able to come to this team. He gets the 9-yard touchdown run at the beginning of the game. He gets a touchdown run on that on the end of that drive. Like this is what you brought Quinshon Judkins in for. Travion Henderson, he's the home run hitter. He's the dude. You love the physicality, the blocking, but I got to give it to Quinshon Judkins. He was out there doing anything and everything. And they didn't have the most rushing yards in the world in this one. Only 81 rushing yards in the game. Will Howard did have 7 carries for 4 yards. But at the end of the day, like I don't think you win that game without either Quinshon or Travion.
Yeah, I agree, man. And, this is the dynamic duo. And I saw even when Judkins, when he got that short yardage run, at the end of the game or close to the end of the game, the last rushing touchdown, Travion Henderson, like he was just like, well, he was going through the team and was like, yeah, I do this. And as soon as he got the Trey, he just smiling, and I love the brotherhood that they have and the camaraderie that they have and how they have been celebrating because a lot of people, especially Ole Miss fans, told us how selfish Judkins is. And we have not seen that. We've been really seeing this brotherhood. I know Pat McAfee was saying, Judkins was yelling at the O-line. But one thing that we have seen from Judkins is in these games, especially these big games, any big game it has been, he's been the one who's fired up, And I think that he was just doing that with the O-line and setting the tone. And, if any Buckeye fans who was listening to the broadcast or thought like, oh, no, here goes Judkins or whatever. No, that is what we wanted. People talked about that team up north in 2022, standing on the bench, standing on the sideline, and rallying the dang on team and rallying the troops or whatever, or his position group. That's what Judkins was doing. He's rallying his O-line, his guys up, get it together. We beating ourselves because that's exactly what we were doing.
Yeah. I think some people see that kind of stuff on the sidelines and they think like, oh, what's that guy, going after his players for and stuff like that. Like that's football. Like you play football, you coach football, you've been around football. Like it's a super emotional game. You have to be emotional, and if you're not sharing those emotions with the brothers, like then you don't have a team. You just got divas out there that want to do their own thing. But that's not what Quinshon is. Quinshon's a team player. Quinshon wants nothing but the best for the guys on his team, and you can see it. It's evident, and not just how he carries the ball and how he celebrates with the team, but how he blocks for other guys like Travion as well. So let's get to Ryan Day and the coaching staff, and then we'll talk about Notre Dame a little bit before we get out of here, Mike. What did you think overall about Ryan Day and his management of the game. I didn't feel like there were too many situations where it was like, oh, Ryan Day made a decision here. I definitely think that decision to go for the screen pass at the end of the first half, obviously, like that was a huge decision from Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, whoever made that decision. But other than that, I don't know if I can find like a big decision he made in this game for good or for bad. What do you think?
I'm gonna tell you what the decision that Ryan Day made that was key in this game. And I'll tell you all because a lot of people have been worried, even this year, especially coming out of that team up north loss. Everybody wondered, how was Ryan Day going to rally his troops to go for a run? Everybody wondered that. And one thing that I have wondered, coming into this season was about, we heard about how Urban was, and, he was a psychology major, and, how he was a master motivator. And I really think that, as we start to peel back the curtain a little bit and you hear guys like Maurice Clarett talking, guys who've been in the Woody behind the scenes, and they talk about they being the motivator. I think him being that motivator, that juice on the sideline was the deciding factor. Because one thing that we have seen, I know Ohio State fans was like, oh my God, is this the team up north, game all over again? But what will we see with Ryan Day? His head would be down. He didn't look like he was still in the game. That is not what we saw from Ryan Day. And that's why the players kept fighting. And I think that is so key in this game that nobody talked about. So I wanted to talk about that because I think that was so key in this game. The fact that he did not keep that he didn't put his head down, that he felt like he still had to fight, and the players felt like they still had to fight. And that's what you got to do. The players are going to feed off their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for us to always see it, because we don't get the shot of the sideline and stuff. But every now and then you get those reactions from him that pan to the sideline. We only got good reactions from him. We got him running down the sideline, doing the Zed Key finger guns at one point, like I was like, all right, I need to tweet this out. Him and Zed Key next to each other. I didn't have enough time. I couldn't find the right GIF there, but you saw that. Then you saw him running down the field with Jack as he was going down the field and how much he was celebrating there and everything. And the one I love the most, and I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this one, and you tell me if I am, but the one I love the most, when Cody Simon went down and he was hurt, man, he goes over there and just the words, "You good?" And Cody Simon says, "I'm good." Walks away. Like you could tell, like, there was not an ounce of fear in him. Like, I think a lot of fans thought Ohio State's going to lose this game. I don't know if Ryan Day ever thought that they would lose this game. I think Ryan Day knew the entire time they were never going to lose that game.
So before the game, while I was working right here in my office, while I was working, I was watching the different interviews, from Ryan Day, the team and stuff. And one thing that he said is, and it made me nervous when he said it, because I'm like, dang, this game is going to be closer than what I thought, was the simple fact of when he said, this is going to come down to a fourth quarter game, and the game is going to be won in the fourth quarter. He knew it. He knew it, which means he had the team ready. So the team, we might have been freaking out as fans. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I was over here using reverse psychology on myself. You know what I'm saying? But the team, they were ready for it, and they knew it. And I also want to give a shout out to Carnell Tate, even though he did drop the touchdown pass. But he was our leading wide receiver in this game. And if teams want to continue to take away Jeremiah Smith, I hope that Will Howard can go ahead and see I don't have to force it to Jeremiah, because the interception that he threw, he had, I think, Emeka wide open. Yes. And you don't have to force the ball when you have 3 wide receiver ones. You have 3 wide receiver ones. Treat them like that. It doesn't matter if it's JJ. It doesn't matter if it's Emeka. It doesn't matter if it's Carnell. Whoever's open, that's who you throw the ball to. I don't care about the stats or what anybody. I've never cared about the stats or whatever. I know NFL people have, but people have been sleeping on Ohio State wide receivers before Brian Hartline was our coach, because we used to rotate, and people was like, didn't believe that Michael Thomas was a first round wide receiver. And I said, I think he's the best wide receiver in this draft. Why didn't they believe that? Because he didn't have the stats, right?
Yep.
But that's not what I look at. I look at the film, and I think that's what we need to get. Look at the film, watch the film, go through your progressions. You're going to see every time Will Howard has thrown a pick this season, somebody else has been wide ass open.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%. 100%. The comment right there, Mike, bring that up. K. Miller saying, love watching you all after the games. Keep it up. Hey, we appreciate it. We'll be back after the Notre Dame game, win or lose. So come check it out with us after that as well. But we really appreciate you all being here too. And we love that you all listen, because guess what? If you guys didn't listen, we wouldn't have a show to do. So, and that would really suck. No, I think you're right. Like, that was my other thing that I was going to say about Ryan Day. Like, we always kind of get stories about what happened on the sidelines after the game, whether it's from Berm or somebody else, or like one of the photographers or something, like, hey, I saw this conversation happen or whatever. It would not surprise me at all if after that pick to Jeremiah Smith, you see JJ or you see like Ryan Day come over to Will Howard or something like that, and they say something along the lines of like, don't worry about it. Like, just throw it to the open man, because I felt like he was forcing it to Jeremiah Smith in that play, which, like, I get it. Like, he's been huge in every single game. Like, he's had almost 300 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns in the first 2 games. And then in this one, you throw to him a couple times, 2 or 3 times, but he's just not making the impact that he was in the other games. And you're thinking to yourself, I got to get this guy involved. But just the recognition to say, we got Emeka Ibuka, we got Carnell Tate, we got Quinshon Judkins, we got Travion Henderson, like, we got G. Scott now. G. Scott is becoming a very good receiver for this team out of the tight end position. When he was on that side by himself and got the 7-yard gain that set up the 4th down run for Will Howard, like, I was like, they're throwing to G. Scott. Like, they got him over there by himself. They're going to run 3 verts with the other guys, and they're going to bring G. Scott across the middle, and he's going to get it just close enough to the first down marker that they're going to go for it on 4th down. And that's what they did, because they trust G. Scott. They got so many guys on this team that they can trust, and to the willingness to say it's not going to JJ, just use him as a decoy. It was a gutsy move, but it worked out for him, because if you would have forced some more balls to JJ, you might have turned another 1 or 2 over.
And to be honest, man, sometimes those are those type of games, right? And I hate that Ryan Day pigeonholes himself into, hey, these are our wide receivers, right? Like, back when, Justin Fields talked about how we use J-Mo as a decoy, right? Sometimes you can go ahead and use Garrett Wilson as a decoy too. Sometimes you can, it is okay for the other star guys, because my thing is this is also, what's the message that you send into the room, right? You told these guys, hey, I know you could be wide receiver 1 somewhere else. I know you can, but you can be also wide receiver 1 here, also be an all-star. Well, show them that. Hey, I don't want to just be a decoy game. Everybody been talking about Carnell Tate. He just out there for cardio. I was glad that he was able to, get those yards, get those catches in this game. 7 catches, 87 yards, was averaging 12 yards a catch, man. And like you said, G. Scott, man, has started to become Mr. Reliable. And, I just want to say shout out to G. Scott. He has came a very, very long way. And, another person, Will's Kakmarak, man. Shout out to my guy, Will Kakmarak, because he did leave a bad taste in Buckeyes fans' mouth earlier, in the season with his catching ability. But seeing him make the play and then just pushing the pile forward and making like, hey, if you're going to hit me or you're going to tackle me, you got to come with some force. That's Ohio football. That's what that is, man. So shout out to him coming from Ohio University.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I asked you guys what your thoughts were of the coaching of the game. 50% of you said B. Yeah, I'd go somewhere in between B and A. Like I said, a lot of people were critical of the Chip Kelly play calling, and I get it. I think in the third quarter, that was when it was the most evident. But like, and Ryan Day's not afraid to say it. I respect him for it because there's some coaches that are afraid to say it. But like, you can call a really good game, but if your players don't execute, they don't execute. Like
Right.
that, it is what it is. And I felt like there were times in this game where it wasn't just the players weren't executing; they were just beating themselves. They were just undisciplined, getting penalties, and beating themselves. So, all right, Mike. Anything else on this game before we talk a little bit of Notre Dame?
No, sir.
All right, let's talk a little bit of Notre Dame. So we got Notre Dame. This will be the third season in a row. Got to say season, can't say year. Third season in a row that Ohio State will face off with Notre Dame against Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman, some really good coaching out of him lately. Really good coaching. I did a video on him on the Big Ten Huddle about just his coaching excellence. I knew it wasn't Big Ten related, but he just really, really impressed me in that game against Penn State. So I felt like I had to give him his props. I know this Notre Dame team is not as talented as Ohio State. I think that's pretty evident to everybody. The offensive line, Penn State was getting pressure like crazy. Riley Leonard can't throw the ball hardly at all unless somebody on the other team falls down and they're wide open. All kinds of stuff like that. But they just find a way to win. And to me, that's one of the things that makes games like this so hard to predict. And I feel like they're going to give a lot of the same defense that Texas gave us. They're going to give us a lot of that same defense.
Bingo.
You're going to have to earn it. You're going to have to be disciplined. You're going to have to move the ball down the field methodically. And I think this poor showing of discipline and this poor showing of offense will help that team. But I'm curious what your thoughts. You think like me, or you think it different?
Here's the thing, man. I've been telling people, and I don't know if I said it on this show. I know I said it on the Fans Edge, but the Tennessee game, getting ready for that tempo for Tennessee. What did that do? That got us ready for the tempo of Oregon. Right? Now, going into the Texas game, we had to worry about them playing cover 2, cover 4, things like that. It's the same thing that Notre Dame has done. So that gives the offense something where they can just go ahead and build on that, learn from their mistakes, and see where they can capitalize next time. And Will can also say, hey, damn, if I just go through my progressions and not force something, then I can hit that. I think another thing that gives Ohio State an edge in this game is Ohio State. This will be the third time Ohio State has seen this defense. And they will be playing that same exact style for the third time. The thing about Notre Dame is they have not seen this offense.
Right.
And they have not seen this defense.
Yep.
That's the thing for Notre Dame. So I'm very excited about this game. Proud of Marcus Freeman and what he did, Buckeye alum. So I'm definitely, proud of him, Notre Dame. And I think that this has a chance to be the most watched national championship game ever, because you're talking about in this country for sure, Ohio State has the number 1 fan base, but Notre Dame is right there in the top 3, if not the top 2, because their fan base is also global. So you're going to have people also watching this in other countries as well, that is going to be excited for Notre Dame, been waiting years for stuff like this. So I'm excited for this game. What about you, JR?
Dude, I'm stoked. I really do like Marcus Freeman. I know there's a lot of Buckeye fans that got a bad taste in their mouth about some of the stuff he said about Notre Dame and we should have went there and all this stuff. Whatever. I don't really care. He went to Ohio State. He can try to pander to the Notre Dame fans all he wants, but point is your degrees from Ohio State, and every single picture we see you in when you were in college football is when you were at Ohio State. So deal with it. But as far as I'm concerned, like, I don't want to be Tress, man. What's Tress gonna do? He's been hanging out with Freeman. He's got the jacket with the Youngstown State on one. He's got the jacket with the Ohio State on the other. He made a post about how proud he is of Marcus Freeman in his basement with all the Notre Dame stuff, and he ended it with, "But it's always go Bucks." And I'm
Don't
like,
get it
oh,
twisted.
man. And when I saw that post, I was like, Tress is going to be having a hard time. Obviously, he's going to be rooting for the Buckeyes, but he's going to be having a hard time. He's got Ryan Day in Ohio State. He's got some of his players on that staff, and then he's got one of his favorite players. I mean, you can't convince me otherwise. One of his favorite players he ever coached, in Marcus Freeman, leading the Fighting Irish. I mean, after that Michigan game, I literally put out a tweet saying, "Who do you want as the head coach?" And Marcus Freeman was one of the pictures I put out there. So, we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be a really good coaching matchup. Obviously, Ohio State has the talent, has the skill, all the recruiting rankings, everything like that. Just got to have the coaches get these boys in order, get these boys to make plays, get these boys in the right position. And, I mean, I've been saying it all playoff long. It's not the players. The players are going to win you the game. The players are the most talented team in college football. Just get the coaches to put them in the right position. That's the biggest thing.
Big facts, man. It definitely come down to the coaches, man. And we just got to play a clean game in this. And like you say, I don't think that it's going to be too hard for Tress, man, because Tress is a Northeast Ohio guy. And if you know about the Northeast Ohio guys, man, they're very loyal guys, very loyal. And one thing that Tress has even preached to this Ohio State team is you will end up thanking God that you got the chance to be a Buckeye, for sure. So Tress riding with Ohio State. If Marcus Freeman win, he'd be like, "Hey, my son got to do something. Nice pat on the back." But it's still Buckeyes all the way. That's why it's still Ohio State and Youngstown on his patches, man, because he represents Ohio and he know what this means for Ohio, and he knows how bad Ohio and the Ohio fans need this.
Yeah, for real. Ohio State opens up the game on FanDuel as a 9.5-point favorite. That is their biggest. That's their largest being favored of the playoffs. They were favored by 7.5 against Tennessee, by Oregon. I think they were 1.5, 3.5, something like that. In this game, they were favored by 5.5 against Texas. It's kind of wild that Ohio State's biggest spread is in the national championship game against Notre Dame. I mean, Ohio State could blow them out. I'm not saying they couldn't, but this feels like a game that I might think twice about Notre Dame covering in this one. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but we'll think twice. That doesn't mean I think Notre Dame's going to win. For those of you that don't bet often, that means that I think Notre Dame will keep it within 9.5 points, which I could see that happening if they do a good job of containing Ohio State's offense once again. So you got a early lean on this one. You gonna pick the Buckeyes, Mike?
Yeah, always. Hey, I'm from Cleveland, man. We're gonna always be loyal, man. I'm definitely gonna pick the Buckeyes in this game. I think honestly they should go and win this game handily. I think that Vegas knows exactly what's going to happen in this game. And one thing that we don't have to worry about, we just beat Texas, we beat Vegas, we beat the ACC refs, and we beat ESPN. We ain't got to worry about that with Notre Dame. Notre Dame got an NBC contract.
It's true.
We ain't gotta worry about all of that going into this. Maybe you might have to worry about Vegas, but I just think that we're good. We ain't gotta worry about it.
Hey, we beat the SEC too. Mike, first time ever in Ohio State football program history, first time ever that Ohio State has beaten 2 SEC teams in the same season. Never been done before.
I also want to say this, right? Everybody talks about going through that SEC gauntlet. I don't know one SEC team that has went up against top 10 teams back to back to back to back. Came out victorious 4 times. So when you want us to put the narrative, if Ohio State played in the SEC, that's just put to bed. Excuse my French. But those narratives, put to bed, man. Shout out to the Buckeyes.
There has never been a harder path to get to the national championship than what Ohio State has been through. Notre Dame as well, if they end up winning it all, but obviously I'm choosing the Buckeyes. There has never been a harder path to get to the national championship and to win the national championship if Ohio State does it. This season, they were able to beat number 8 Indiana, number 7 Tennessee. If they beat Notre Dame, it'll be number 5 Notre Dame. It'll be number 4 Penn State, number 3 Texas, and number 1 Oregon. There has never been a team. I haven't even gone back and looked yet. There has never been a team, at least with this playoff bracket, the way it is, that has gone through a harder gauntlet to win a national championship than Ohio State went through. It will go down as history. Maybe Ohio State won't go down in history as the best national champion ever because, they had their slip-ups during the season and stuff like that. That's fine. But there has never been a more difficult path if Ohio State wins it all than what Ohio State had to go through to win it all this season, to make the playoffs and then to win it all this season as well.
Yeah, I'll say this, man. Like you said, nobody, has had to do this. Did anybody in the 14 playoff was ever number 4 and then went and won a national championship other than Ohio State?
Other than Ohio State, I don't think so, because the only other number 4 teams were like Washington and Michigan State and stuff like that. Like,
I was trying to think of like one of those, when they put 2 SEC teams in, if one of them ended up being 4, but I don't think that they made them 4. I think they made somebody else 4.
Yeah, they made them like 1 and 3 or something like that normally.
So I have a prediction because Ohio State, we set the standard. Number 14, never won a national championship in the 14 playoffs. And you will not see someone go through a gauntlet like what we've gone through unscathed.
Alabama was number 4.
And they won a natty
17. Yes, they won that national championship game against number 3 Georgia in overtime.
Well, I'm still going to predict in this 12-team playoff. Yeah, in this 12-team playoffs, I don't think that anybody is going to be able to, if we win the national championship, I don't think nobody's going to be able to do that. So
I totally agree. And that's the thing too, like we're not just including playoffs, so the next person who wins it is like, oh yeah, we had a hard playoff schedule too. Like, no, like you played Oregon in the regular season. Yes, you lost that game, but it was at Oregon. You also played Indiana in the regular season. I know everybody got their thoughts on Indiana. That's fine, but guess what? They're still a top 8 team in the
Clemson.
college football playoffs. You played Penn State in the regular season. What'd you say?
Better than Clemson.
Yeah, better than Clemson. That's true. But like you got all that stuff. You got the regular season combined with the postseason. It's over. It's over. So, all right, Mike. Anything else?
No, Buckeye Nation, man. Y'all enjoy this win. Y'all be safe out there. Everybody who is in Dallas, make sure y'all have safe travels and on your flight. And if you know anybody in Dallas, make sure you tell them. Go over there at the Voice of College Football. Go check out Michael and JR on the post game. So while they have a nice flight, they can enjoy some Buckeye talk, So shout out to everybody. OH.
IO. Hey, just put it on, grab the aux cord, put it on the entire plane for everybody to listen to, right? I mean,
facts.
Yeah, get one of the flight attendants that, give them a little, hey, why don't you plug this in? Let everybody know about the Buckeyes.
Yeah, Penn State, I guess a pilot was a Penn State alum and played their fight song on the flight to Miami.
No way, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy.
They didn't win. So. Probably don't do that, y'all. Don't put it on no airplane fight song.
Yeah, don't jinx us. Last question really quick. Would you have rather played Penn State than Notre Dame in the national championship game?
Yep.
Yeah, I probably would have too.
Yep. But to be honest, the only reason I say that is because I think that Penn State's defense, I just feel like we would be able to have our way with Penn State's defense. The game against Notre Dame, because they played basically we're about to be playing the same type of defense, it could give us problems, especially if we don't, I think we should definitely cook in game planning. But no, I said this. I said the dink and dunk, like throwing laterally, the little screens or whatever, like throwing laterally. That's not how you're going to beat Texas or these top elite teams. Even in Notre Dame, just the way their defense, they fly to the ball. It's hard to block them on the perimeter. I don't think that's how you're going to win those games, man. You have to get your wide receivers to realize what the defense is. And I think that's something that, we took for granted with JSN, how much of a zone killer he was, because we heard how he reads the defense like a quarterback and he would just sit in zones. Our wide receivers need to do a better job of that.
Yeah, his ability to find the soft spot in the zone, but also CJ Stroud, just how much he was on point with JSN, that he knew where he was going to be. Like they both would dissect where the soft spot in the zone was, and then JSN would just get himself there, and CJ Stroud had the trust that he would be there. Like those were CJ Stroud's biggest mistake throws, when he thought a guy was going to be someplace and they weren't there, because he saw it and his wide receiver saw it too, but sometimes he wasn't always on the same page. So, all right, Mike, appreciate everybody being here. We appreciate being able to do this. It has been a long season. We are the only voice of college football postgame that is still surviving. So make sure you tell Mark and everybody else that in the call show. I don't think there's a Notre Dame one, right? There's no Notre Dame.
It should be.
It should be, but I don't know if there is. Make sure you brag about that and all the call-in shows and everything. You make sure all those scum fans know that there's only one post-game show still remaining, and that's your boy Mike and your boy JR. You can catch me at JR's Rankings, JR_rankings on Twitter. You can also catch me and my co-host Zach over on the Big Ten Huddle. I am actually going to go over there and do a little bit more of a recap, kind of more Big Ten thoughts over on that channel after I get done here. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, head on over to the Big Ten Huddle. It's a grass background. It just says Big Ten as the logo. You'll find it. It's easy to see. Mike, where can people find you?
Man, you can find me on the X app at 216_wildboy. You can also catch me on YouTube at the Best Damn Media platform. And also come check us out in Discord, man. We watched a lot of Texas film. We like watching film, like talking ball in Discord as well. And you could, like I said, follow me on the X app, because we'll be hosting spaces. And you can just click my profile and you'll end up seeing that I'm in spaces. So
where can people find the link for the Discord at?
You can find the link for the Discord actually in the Best Damn Media. If you follow us at Best Damn Media on Twitter as well, you can find that link there. And you can find the link on basically, I think, all of our live channels. Nice. So on YouTube, definitely on our Fans Edge, I always post it. So
there you go, very good. Maybe go post it on Twitter after this, and people go check.
Yeah, I see people
Twitter.
asking. Yeah.
So all right, great stuff. Thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate it as always. Go Bucks, and we'll see you after the national championship game. OH.
IO.